What if I told you the Hornets, yes, the 19-win Charlotte Hornets, could make the NBA playoffs next year? And no, I'm not being a delusional Hornets fan, because there is a way. You just don't understand. Our core four of LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Mark Williams have played a total of like 10 games together over the last 4 years. If they're just healthy for once, we bring back Trey Mann. He's going to be on a very team-friendly deal. We're going to love that contract. Go out, draft VJ Edgecombe. That'll be the perfect pick to add to this young core. And then bring in like an Nickeil Alexander-Walker in free agency, because you have plenty of cap space. You've got like $40 million above the first apron. And if you can come out of the offseason with a roster looking something like this, adding Nickeil Alexander-Walker to the core four like we just talked about, keeping those guys together and trying to keep them healthy, and then bringing in VJ Edgecombe and your bench looking like that, getting Grant Williams and Trey Mann back, you could be a fringe playoff team and at least competitive again, which is really all us Charlotte Hornets fans want. We still have LaMelo Ball, who is 24 years old, or he will be next season. He's coming off of a year where he averaged 25 points, 7.4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.2 steals, and was averaging 30 a game for the first month and a half of the season. But the efficiency, that's horrific. That was the big issue last year, and some of his shot selection has to be fixed. But remember, he did drop 50 on Milwaukee with 10 assists and 5 rebounds. Did take a bunch of shots to get to 50, but still, he is the main guy on this team. He was almost 50% from the field as well. He's signed until 2029, so we have to build around him and, hope he can stay healthy. These guys have played 5 games together. This was once seen as one of the better young cores in the league, so I'm asking Jeff Patterson, please don't trade everybody, right? Let's keep this core together, keep them growing, bring back Grant and Trey Mann. You have plenty of money to work with. You're $3 million under the soft cap. You're $44 million under the first apron and $56 million under the second apron. There is all kinds of room to make moves. You also have the 4th pick in the draft. You could be having a big-time sophomore season from the number 6 pick in last year's draft if you made the correct pick, but you took DJ and Salon. That's another story for another day. VJ Edgecombe, that's who I want at number 4. 6'5" with a 6'7.5" wingspan and can jump out of the gym. You add him to LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, and this young core, and it'll look really, really solid. He averaged 15 last year at Baylor with 5.6 rebounds, 3.2 assists, and 2.1 steals. Shot 44% from the field and 34% from 3. But this is what gets a lot of people fired up, is his defense and his athleticism. Imagine him paired with Miles Bridges in Airbnb. Man, that would be something special. A lot of highlights would be coming out of Charlotte. But keep in mind, from January 7th to February 8th, this was the stat line that he put up for about a full month. Shooting 49% from the field and 49% from 3. He's a streaky shooter, but when he gets hot, he gets hot. His form's a little weird, though. I mean, look at the rotation on this thing. This thing is rotating sideways, which is a little bit of an issue, but hey, if it works, it works. Con Knipple is a guy that is actually gaining some momentum to Charlotte at number 4. And at first I thought, man, wouldn't this be the typical Hornets pick? But hey, Con, he averaged 14.4 points per game last year at Duke, 4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and a steal, while shooting 48% from the field and 41% from 3 on 5.6 attempts. And he fits seamlessly next to Cooper Flagg. He's a guy that can be out there and can make an impact without having to have the ball. He's 6'6" with a 6'6" wingspan. Big frame, not the most athletic guy in the world, but his defensive IQ is high enough that allows him to be a solid defender, and man, he can absolutely catch and shoot. In my opinion, though, the pick at 4 still has to be VJ Edgecombe. I swear if they go out and pick like Kaman Malawach, there will be a generational crash out on the live stream for the draft. With that being said, let's get back to the rest of the roster. Brandon Miller, year 3 Brandon, I'm hoping for some big time things. He just put up 21 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and a steal in 34 minutes a night. The efficiency was a question mark, as it is with literally every player on our roster other than maybe Trey Mann. 40% shooting from the field, 36% from 3 on 11 attempts. If you're taking 11 attempts per game from 3, you got to be shooting like 40%. He only played 27 games, but he will be 23 years old next year, so he's still very young. He's pretty much the only untouchable piece to this roster. I mean, a 6'8", 6'9" slasher that can also really score the ball. perfect to have. Another guy that I think is, he's going to play out the rest of his contract here for sure. He's not moving anywhere. Is Miles Bridges, knock on wood, 20.3 points a game, 7.4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.4 stocks, 43% shooting from the field, 31% from three. So that's not great whatsoever. But I do like the dynamic that Miles brings. Of course, he is on a very favorable contract. We just talked about that. That's kind of a steal for Miles over the next 2 years. But getting a guy that can score on the interior and occasionally knock down the three, you have LaMelo, you have Brandon Miller. If we bring in VJ Edgecombe, you got guys that can score from the perimeter, so you need guys that are interior threats like Miles Bridges, like Mark Williams, who will be just 24 years old next year. He's still very young, coming off of a season where he averaged 15.2 points, 10 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 1.2 steals per game. Blocks, excuse me. He shot 60% from the field, and he shot 81% from the line, showing that he can shoot the ball a little bit. I don't understand what the obsession is with trying to trade Mark Williams, okay? Maybe he doesn't give the best effort on defense. But, hey, we were 13-50. Who cares? Versus Memphis last year, he had 38 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists, kind of showcasing that he can be a franchise center in this league. And all the signs are there. If we trade, I don't understand why we would trade him, but if we do, then we better get a decent enough return. 7'2" with a 7'7" wingspan, so he can absolutely clog up the lanes. He can play defense. They just gotta maybe need to work with him a little bit, but he can be a good. All the tools are there, is what I'm trying to say. Now, Trey Mann, preseason was projected to get about a 3-year, $33 million deal when he hit free agency this summer. He then proceeded to play a total of 13 games last year, and now he's projected to get like a 2-year, $12 to $16 million deal, which if the Hornets can get him, which it's kind of expected that he's back in Charlotte, that would be a steal of a contract. If we can sign him to a 4-year on that average. He just averaged 14 points a game, 3 boards, and 3 assists on 44% shooting from the field and 40% from three. He was like our second best player last year when he was playing. He was a stud off the bench, an automatic energy bolt. And once Trey Mann and Grant Williams went down, that's when the team really went to crap because we were still treading water. Even without Brandon Miller for a little bit and without Mark Williams, we were still treading water, and then those two guys went down. Now, I do want us to sign Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 3 years, $45 million is kind of the projection for what he would get this summer, and he's going to be a very sought-after free agent. So we're going to have to win a little bit of a bidding war. If we need to, we can throw more money at him, but, don't get carried away. He just averaged 9.4 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. Shot 44% from the field and 38% from three. That's not crazy, but still, he's one of the better 3-and-D wings on the market. In 82 games played this year, that's something the Hornets don't have, and that is availability. So bringing him in would be huge. 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan. He can guard the 1, 2, or the 3. And, yeah, he was the point of attack defender against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It didn't really work, but he was the point of attack defender against him when Jaden McDaniels was out. I'd also love to see Chris Paul here to mentor LaMelo Ball. That was a kind of hypothetical thrown out, and yes, he'll be 41 years old, but everything he touches when it comes to NBA point guards turns to gold. And imagine this being our bench unit. We would be a competent team if this was our bench unit. And don't hate on Musa at the backup 5. You can throw Nurkic in there if you want. I'd rather get him off the team though with his contract, but CP3 will probably be out ring chasing. He's probably not going to want to sign with us, but if he does, hey, come in, mentor LaMelo, be a good veteran for these guys, because that's really what they need. They need a good veteran, all right? It was just a bunch of AAU hoopers in Charlotte for the longest time, and now we have no culture, and that's what we need to reset. With that being said, though, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to the like button, leave me a comment down below, and that subscribe button if you did enjoy at any point. We're looking for 300 likes on today's video, and with that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.